Hello, people. Welcome to episode 24 of Hard Knock Hawks. I'm Anthony, along with Chris, Leon, and Marco. And this is the podcast where we talk about our favorite team, the Atlanta Hawks. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the Hawks going streaking as of late with 4 wins against the Pacers, 76ers, and now the Hornets. They are now the 7th seed and are currently leading the Southeast Division with a 2-game lead over the Orlando Magic. Currently, the Atlanta Hawks have the 17th ranked offense and the 17th ranked defense, according to Clean the Glass. But if you look a little deeper into the stats, recently the offense has returned for the Atlanta Hawks because during this recent win streak, the Hawks have had a 120.7 offensive rating, which is equal to a top 10 offense fits for this team. But they've had a 121.5 defensive rating, which is not good. That's a defensive rating in the lower 20s. So I am going to start with you, Leon. What do you think has caused the offense to all of a sudden just make a resurgence after this team was just so defensively minded for so long? But the defense is just all of a sudden just take a backside as of late.
Yeah, so the main reason is you have George Niang on your team playing 27, 28 minutes a game. And teams aren't just going to allow that to be on the court without attacking him. And sometimes it's not attacking him on an island. It's, putting him in low man situations where you can get an athlete going to the rim and stuff like that. And that's like an auto 2 points, right? So um, that's one of the main reasons. And another thing is because the offense is good, teams know that they have to score with us. So they are, really locking in on offense because they have to score to beat us. And we've also been playing a lot of really good offenses as of late. We played the Pacers twice, even without Halliburton. We played some playoff teams. The Hornets, for whatever, you can say whatever you want about how bad they are, but they have a real offensive engine. They can score the basketball pretty well. And then again, it's the no Jalen thing. You only have it's not real one athletic wing all the time, and then you play Mo some, and he's up and down. He's aggressive. He's good, but he he's mistake prone. So you just have a smaller, more inconsistent team on defense, but a more skilled and more consistent team on offense. So um, they're being clutch in late game situations and winning games despite not being great on defense for 4 full quarters. But when you've got um, Trey, who is really smart late in game, securing 2 for 1s, even sometimes if it's with a bad shot or getting to the line late in games, and same thing with Dyson getting key stops. Uh, so yeah, the main reason is personnel, and the other reason is the schedule. Since we've made those acquisitions as well, so it'll get a little bit better as we get into the softer part of the back end of the schedule. It's pretty soft the rest of the way, but yeah, and then Clint obviously being a shell of himself is doing a lot of that heavy lifting too. So you know, obviously until you get Jalen back, it's going to be kind of rough defensively. It's really hard to get boards on this team, especially when Yang's on the floor at the 4. But they keep working and they're winning games, so can't be too mad. What you think, Chris?
Well, as some of the season ticket holders pointed out, the Hawks traded offense for defense, and then they traded defense for offense.
I'm
Um,
surprised you brought up that video.
you know, I do my homework, but no, I think what realistically what happened was right. You had Jalen, you had Dyson or Dre in that group earlier. Bogey wasn't shooting, so you had a bunch of size at the wing and you could defend, but Dyson and Zach weren't really contributing 3-point shots, so you didn't have much consistency in terms of offense, but you could defend. But Dre's gone, Jalen's gone. You lost some of that size, but you added Karras, Man, and Niang, who can all put the ball on the ground or put it on the floor and get to the rim. They can shoot jumpers. You added a lot more ball handling and passing, more movement ability in general. Man and Levert are both really quick guys. They're going to move around a lot more than Dre did. I think that second unit has a lot more firepower in terms of overall than it did earlier in the season. I think Man and Levert and Yang together are combining for 30 points a game as Hawks, and then Man's another 10, right? So you lost about 38 points a game, but you brought back a 40 points a game in terms of offensively, but you just can't really stop the other team right now. In that way, you're getting some contributions from Mo. You don't have a big wing defender, so that's gonna be difficult when you have certain matchups. Because if you have some teams that are really physical, or a guy like Miles Bridges kind of got off tonight, we've seen Pascal kind of get off against us, because you don't have that Jalen and Dre have the big muscle, just to really kind of even wear those guys down in general. They're just kind of playing free. But yeah, you added the shooting that you needed to score. We couldn't score. That was a theme on here. We can't shoot, but we can shoot now. We can dribble. We just can't really protect the rim as well without that size on the wing. So until you get Jalen back, or some reinforcements at the 4 and 5, it's going to be kind of open season on the rim. Guys in general are just going to attack it, even if you're defending it. They don't really care. They're just going to keep going just because there's not a footer out there, especially not one that can move the way Clint's playing at the moment. So defensively, it's not too scary. It's a little sweet out there, but offensively, I mean, they can play with anybody. You got Trey Young and shooters, bro. That always plays. Marco.
My bad, my mic was tweaking. But yeah, just like Chris said, well, one thing I do want to point out, we never can have like a fully balanced team on both sides. It's either you get more offense than defense, or vice versa. But I think at this point of the season, when you really are trying to win, or you're not really trying to, it's not like we're competing for top 6, but you're trying to make sure your spot is still, solid. You kind of had to sacrifice some of that defense to, get out there and score for real. Because I'm pretty sure we sucked in the fourth quarter on offense for a good minute, and it was always up and down with that. But you could defend, you just couldn't score. You get multiple stops in the fourth quarter and just couldn't score. Then now you add the guys who can somewhat shake up the non-trade minutes, like Karras. Karras has a green light when he's when he's out there, so he's fine with doing that. He has some playmaking upside, so it's not really all bad when he's off. It's and he's actually underrated defender. I feel like because forgot what it was, but he's actually not that bad of a wing defender. He's just doesn't really sometimes look like it or whatever. But with just like you guys said, playing Niang for 20 plus minutes, especially along we had running Niang and Onyeka, Niang and Clint. Those lineups aren't really going to work because I personally don't see Onyeka as a primary rim protector, and Clint has lost his bounce. We all know that, so it's kind of up and down with that. But I guess he still tries. He was like top 5 in post defense, so it's not all bad. But he's barbecue chicken on the wing. So, but I do like how, I do like how we made the moves. You made up for a lot of what you were missing, like Chris said. Until you really get another big wing defender and another rim protector, you kind of got to deal with what you kind of use the guys you have now. And until you get Jalen back, who was one of the better help side defenders this year, you kind of just got to do what you can do with the group you have now. And so far, it has been working since we are on a win streak.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said, Marco. And I just want to say one thing. Chris, I know you referenced that video. It kind of went like, I won't should I say viral? It kind of went viral on like Hawks Twitter about the Hawks fan asking Landry about like the moves that we made during the past few months. And I want to remind people that team building can be really difficult sometimes, especially since we do have like an undersized guard being the main centerpiece of this team. And like you said, Marco, Go and Chris, we were
While it is hard, it's not nearly as hard if they've made it over the last for a couple of years.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, but generally, I think the main thing that they had to like try and focus was just trying to find a way to just balance their offense and defense because, like y'all said before, they really did have just a tough time just trying to actually score at points. I even like mentioned concerns before about what if they were down 5 and could they even actually just come back at that point? Since sometimes the offense was just not that good during those points. Now, after the trade deadline, now that we have Niang, Karras, and Terrence Mann, they're shooting the 3 ball way better than some of our other players have been. And then you have Reese Shea being a much better 3-point shooter, and Dyson as well, which is probably the biggest surprise out of everything. The offense has just taken a big step up, but now that Clint has just become completely washed for I don't know what happens with him. It's just I'm interested to see, and we're gonna talk about this later, if we think the Hawks could just make some kind of run with what we have, especially with the fact that we just don't have this big wing defender that we used to have with players like DeAndre Hunter or Jalen, who is like right now just out for the season. But I do want to actually ask y'all about a player that has been really good as of late, and that is Onyeka. Um, Onyeka has been playing the best basketball of his career so far. Um, he's been getting multiple double doubles. Tonight was not one of his best games. We're referencing the Hornets game. He wasn't really good tonight, but for the most part, he has been really just blowing, I think, a lot of people's expectations out the water so far this year. He's trying to get up a bunch of threes. He's rebounding the ball really well, despite being 6'8", 6'9". I want to know your guys' thoughts about how Onyeka has been playing as of late. And do you think he's just cemented his role as the future starting sitter going forward? And I'll start with you, Chris.
Double O's been playing really well. His feel for the game has really shown. Now he's getting to play almost like all of his minutes with Trey, or at least a few guys that can pass. He's really popped as a hub. The 3 ball has come around really consistently. I think he's really confident in that right now. There's not as much hesitation. The hitch in his shot isn't really there. So no, yeah, he's playing really, really well. He looks like he's in really good shape right now. He's been healthy for most of the season. I don't know that he's missed too many games, if many at all. No, it's been a great season for Double O in terms of his standards. At first, when he moved into the starting lineup, I wasn't sure if it was just more minutes, giving him a little bit better numbers, or if it was like actually more impact. But I think the Brad Rowland posted a tweet that his per 100 has improved over the last like half of his starts or so. So yeah, the uptick is there. He's a young player who's coming into his own, so it's been good to see. As for the center of the future, maybe we'll see. I mean, you really just kind of play it by ear. I think this is a team that they got him on a good deal, and this is a player that they value a lot. So I think it would take a lot for them to move him or replace him. Someone would have to outplay him, um, and that's going to be tough the way he's playing. I don't think they're just going to give the job to someone else. Um, unless he really just fumbles it. So I think for now, yeah, he's the guy. I think they would look to pair him with someone because you do kind of you don't want to be vulnerable to certain matchups. There's just going to be guys that give him trouble. Um, in the league. There's not too many dudes that really just bang down low and post up, so you don't have to worry too much. But yeah, I think all in all, I think he's going to be a big part of this team moving forward, especially as currently constructed. Right? Yeah, he fits everything they want to do. I think he's really coming into his own. This has been fun to watch.
Marco, what do you think? I know you're the number one Onyeka hater here on this podcast, so
That's kind of a crazy label to put on me. Not gonna
I
lie,
mean,
but I'm gonna let it slide for this time. Um, Onyeka has been pretty decent, man. You know, I can't even hate if I wanted to. He's been pretty fire this year. I guess you kind of had no earlier in the season. You kind of had no choice but to start him because like Clint was Clint. He was just Clint just isn't Clint anymore, and it's just we weren't really winning anything. And if you look at prior history, Jalen and Onyeka were like a decent duo together. So it was like kind of had to do it. And also Onyeka had to prove that he was, you know, he could be a starting center of the future or whatever, and they gave him that chance. And I think he's been very solid in the minutes he has played. The three ball is coming around very nice. It's not a slow wind up anymore. He has like a faster release, no real hesitation on these threes anymore. So, you know, he's getting it up there with that. You know, defense, he still has, you know, his little foul trouble here and there. It's nothing really major, but it's improved to what it has been in the past, you know, 4 seasons he has been an Atlanta Hawk, or 4 or 5 seasons he's been an Atlanta Hawk. So I like what I've seen from Onyeka. Um, if I have to weigh in on the starting center of the future, the best way I could answer this is don't let your girlfriend stop you from finding your wife. Because even though Onyeka is a good center, I feel like you still need a bigger body behind him or rotationally wise that can deal with the bigger matchups. Because part of the reason Onyeka had a bad game tonight against the Hornets was because their centers are tall and physical, and they were really putting it in them. Pause. So they were actually, you know, making it hard for him to score and whatever. But he does play well against some bigger matchups as well. So, but when you have young, athletic centers that really, really can get down there and jam with you, like Jalen Duren, Jabari Smith, and all those other guys, is like his weakness is kind of shown. So, if you can find a better option, or you can find some real complimentary help, I say do it, and you just kind of eye it from there moving forward. Next to you, Leon.
Um, just some stats from the last 16 games for the kid. That's since the beginning of February. Uh, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 62% from the field, a 24% defensive rebound rate, which is good, almost 2 on the block rate. You know, I think, as I said, and I think some pods ago, I think he sacrificed some of his, you know, counting stats, especially the blocks, with you know, not fouling. He kind of sacrificed that to get his fouls down, and it's what he had to do. Just got to be more solid, take less chances, and it'll get better as we get more size out on the wing, so he's not getting guys at the rim with a full head of steam. And obviously, it's really the passing that plays up for him. It's his feel, knowing where to be, and you know, in that stretch, he's shooting just 28% from three, but he's getting them up 25 over 16 games. That's more than 1.5 a game, which is a good start. He's got a 3 for 5 game in there. Obviously, he had the 3 for 3 game against Philly. That's doing most of the heavy lifting. But he just got to find consistency in that, and that's always kind of been the thing with Double O is can he be consistent? Because when he's at his best, he can be um, at least a starting level center. And if you can get a starting level center for $15 million a year, you're doing good work as a front office. I do believe that, as Chris said, you have to get, you know, a counterpart for him that can do some of the same base level skills, but is probably, I, I, I think you at base level want a high level defensive big who can at least keep the offense moving and finish, right? Uh, you know, it doesn't have to be the best passer in the world, but obviously you get the best that you can get. As far as him being the starting center, he's going to be the starting center next year unless somebody gives them one of the best centers in the league because at $15 million a year is going to be hard to part with that in your starting lineup, giving you the production that he's giving you. He's got 24 starts this year. I believe that's a career high in the season. He's played pretty well in those starts. So the biggest thing for him, I think, is getting to the offseason healthy. He has had a few not so healthy off seasons. So you can get to the offseason healthy, really work on that three ball, really refine his dribble handoff game, get a little bit stronger, get a little bit quicker, and he could have a big year next year. I don't think I think the idea, and others have talked about this. I believe you kind of build the army of wings not just for Trey, but for Onyeka, because if you have an army of wings, and you make life easier on him, right? And I can't remember, was it Marco or Chris talked about how this season they weren't great, but the advanced numbers when Jalen and Double O on the floor last season were very good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they can be peaking around the same time and continue that chemistry that they clearly have as as a front court with really good passing feel. Um, yeah, that's all I really got. What you think, Anthony, about
I,
Double O?
I think he is probably, like you mentioned, going to be the starting center going forward. And if this is what we're going to get from Onyeka, hopefully next year, I just really want to see him next to a healthy Jalen, because I think it's going to help really expand his game. Because honestly, like with what Chris said, he just needs someone next to him that just has some of the same skill set. I think obviously we've seen before what Jalen and Yeka looks like together, and it's worked really well before. And I think just having like this improved Onyeka with the Jalen Johnson that we had this year, right? Yeah, I think it could just do wonders for this team, especially going forward for this defense, and especially how Onyeka has just improved so much offensively as a hub. By the way, I like how everyone's starting to say the word hub now. I remember a few podcasts ago I couldn't say, we were saying like we couldn't use the word hub yet. So that's
Yeah, I think
go ahead.
I think Hub is a bit strong. And there's no shade to him. I think that he can do it in spurts, and he's done it for games. But it's one of those things. It's just another thing we can play off of because he's such a good processor for his position. Um, it probably won't be a thing where, all right, we're running the offense through Onyeka. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I get you. Yeah,
I mean, like if he can get to that level, and I think the biggest thing for him is, you know, he's gotten to the point where he's good enough facilitating in the high post and in the elbow that guys are gonna come out anyways, and try to, you know, annoy him so that he can't get his passes off, and that will open up the drive game, which I think is probably the most important part of his offense that's untapped outside of the three ball. I think the three ball is important too, and it'll help with this is the drive game because every couple games he gives you a driving kip. That's not the prettiest thing you see in the world, but it shows that he can do it, and it's really nice to have a center who can do that. Not a lot of teams have a center who can drive and kick consistently. So yeah, and he doesn't turn the ball over that much anymore.
yep.
But he's playing well, and he's definitely. And I said a couple weeks ago, like he's earned another year for me for sure. Um, I've been impressed with his play, so he's just got to be consistent.
I agree. Like I said before, I think Jalen and Onyeka is gonna be just a really interesting combination to just see for next year. Um, Hopefully, I think if they can just both improve their jumper somewhat, I think that could just be somewhat deadly for this team. But were you about to say something, Chris?
No, you're good.
Oh, my bad. We're gonna move on to our next topic, and that is we're gonna talk about award updates. So we're just gonna talk about all the potential awards that the Hawks could get or could not get at this point of the season. There are only 16 games left, so we're basically 75%, 80% of the season is done. And I'm just gonna go through all the awards that all the Hawks players could potentially get. So there's only really 3 Hawk players that we're gonna really talk about. It's Trey, Dyson, and Risa Shea. So I'm just gonna get the obvious one out the way. Trey is gonna be the assist leader for this year. I got make sure I got this right, but because for some reason this did go on here for some reason. Let me just make sure I got this right. So he's leading the league with 11 and a half assists. There's a pretty good chance that no one else will beat that total. So he's most likely going to be the assist leader. So that's one out the way. But the main thing we're going to talk about is rookie of the year and defensive player of the year. So I want to start with defensive player of the year first, since I think that's probably more of the interesting case. Dyson Daniels is in several bang markets right now, second for defensive player of the year. So, and it's behind Evan Mobley, who is on the Cavs. As everyone knows, as of this recording, well, not as of this recording, but the Cavs are the number one seed in the East, and will have the best record in the entire NBA. Evan Mobley is a really good defender, but Dyson Daniels, of course, is leading the league in steals. He has the most stocks of any player in the league right now after being Wembanyama tonight. So what are your guys' thoughts on Dyson Daniels' chances of winning Defensive Player of the Year? Any one of you could go first. I guess
I'll go.
go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I'll go. Dyson's probably not going to win. There's just so many factors into it. It's not the raw like steals and blocks. Even though I think like he probably deserves it on his own merit. There's just so much like the media takes into account, and there's like they're going to plug into a computer, come up with some algorithm, and they're not going to have the defensive rating, defensive field goal percentage like held in like the stops at the rim, like all that stuff is like stuff they add in. So it just really favors bigs. So it's going to be really, 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 really hard for Dyson to do that. I think it would take another jump from the Hawks in terms of wins and defensive ability or the defensive infrastructure. You got to add a few more guys. Get those numbers looking right, get the record right, and then I think Dyson has a real chance. But it's just so much going against him. It's just unfortunate that it's not just him. But yeah, they're going to use a bunch of team stuff to rob our guy, I think.
Basically, I agree with Chris said. Defensive player of the year kind of favors bigs. It's a lot for Evan Mobley would have to get hurt for Dyson to win it. I hate to say it like that, but that's just literally what would have to happen. That's just how you had to look at it. Like what Dyson is doing is special because I don't think it's been a player that's done what he's done. Is doing what he has done, steal wise, in a minute. So what he is doing is special, and he might. I think he has all first team lockdown. Might have that lockdown because again, that's like what he's doing is special. But again, like Chris said, defensive player of the year favors bigs, stops at the rim, and Evan Mobley, it's his whole thing, block, stops at the rim, passing lane, all that. So it's kind of just goes from it just comes down to that at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Dyson is that we're not a great defensive team. It's very rare that a team that's not at the very least a top 10 defense has a player that wins Defensive Player of the Year.
All right, I have a rebuttal to that. Wembanyama was the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year, and the Spurs defense was literally like number 20 when he was on there.
It's different for him. Like it's different for him. You know why it's different for him. But he also averaging 4.3 blocks. Is that the number?
Yeah,
right. And he's Victor Wembanyama, and he's a big, and that goes towards him. And he's, they're trying to market him as the face of the league, and it's not like he wouldn't deserve it either. You know what I mean?
I mean, you're right, but I'm just saying, using the record to me, it seems just unfair if you're just using it based on just stats, right? That I feel like just Dyson should be able to just win the award because he just has a clear lead in a bunch of categories, right? You just steal.
Mm-hmm.
steals
I
and
mean,
stuff, but
yes, but best defensive player on best defensive team usually wins.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not just the stats and the record. It's like if you're the best, if you're a really, really good team and you're good defensively, right? You're like your defense is contributing to winning, and just so much of the defense that contributes to winning comes from front court guys. It's just like the nature of it. It's just unfortunate. It's tough to like Rudy Gobert won it like every year for just because like the algorithm they use. Like no one in the NBA even respects Rudy really as a defender. The players themselves are like, nah, Rudy's not like that. But the algorithm, bro, and Dyson's probably just gonna get robbed by it too.
I I get it. Like he probably isn't gonna win it, and I know that there are some fans that are probably happy because if he wins Defense Player of the Year, that means we're gonna pay him less than what we would have if he won it. But I just feel like it's probably disappointing to me because I think what he is doing this year is just worthy of it. You know, like who else is doing this steals wise, deflection wise in the league? Like he's going to eat first team all NBA, obviously, but no one else is just doing what he's doing right now. Like he just has such a big lead over everyone else currently. But obviously the team record, so it doesn't really matter in the end. So I'm just kind of disappointed about that. And he's a guard. So
All right, man. It's okay, man. We all love Dyson. You know,
No, I'm
he's
with you.
the
I mean, it's a lot of these awards sometimes are 2-year campaigns too, man. It's media stuff. You got to get them to even watch your team first.
yeah, man. Like, man, he's defensive player of the year in our eyes. How about that?
He's
that
Hawks
doesn't
defensive
count.
player of the year for sure.
Hawks that's
Shit, for the last 5 seasons.
it's not a real award to me.
All right.
I want the trophy. Well, I need him to get a trophy. I need to see him holding
Well,
it.
you want him to get that trophy? Tell him grow 5 more inches. He's basically a lock.
God, that would be amazing. Dyson come back 7 feet tall.
Oh my god! But let's talk about this other award. Is for Zach, and that's for Rookie of the Year. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this is because the Kia Rookie Ladder, which is for a lot of people the main way they track Rookie of the Year, it finally featured Zachary Risache in the top 3. So for that Rookie Ladder, it features Stephon Castle at 1, Jalen Wells at 2, and Risache at 3. Risache is currently number 3 in betting odds, and that order I just mentioned is currently the same order for betting odds as well. What do you guys think about Risache's chances during this final stretch for Rookie of the Year? And do you think he has a chance to even pull it off at this point? I'll start with you. We're gonna go back to Leon. What do you think of Risache's Rookie of the Year chances?
He still has a chance. He still has a chance. I don't think he's going to win it, but he does have a chance. He'd have to rattle off some pretty special performances, I think, to run away with it. But a lot of these awards are won in the first half of the season, and like Chris said, a lot of these awards are narrative based um, and whatnot. I think Jalen Wells has been very good. I think Castle's been pretty good too. And they're trying to develop him as a guard, and the guard has the ball a lot of the time. That's why usually guards are bigs win Rookie of the Year. It's unless wings are just like elite self creators from jump, they don't win Rookie of the Year because they just don't put up the raw numbers. And even the wings that do are usually the big ones, like Paolo, Chet. I can't remember who won that one. It's probably Chet, but are big, right?
Yeah.
And wings take a little bit of time to develop. And it all depends on your situation too. I think if Zach was on like a truly rebuilding team, he might have won. But the Spurs are like prioritizing Castle's growth this year, and that's we're prioritizing Zach's, but they're just in different roles. They're just in different roles. So, I mean, to the people who said like, "Oh, Stephon Castle doesn't deserve it," like I think he's very deserving. He's had up and down season as well, but I think his highs have been about as high or more consistent. He's been on the high side more consistently than Zach has. So it's not that big of a deal to me. He's definitely going to make all rookie first team, very well deserved. I think he should be 2 on the board for sure. He should not be 3. He should have been. He probably should have been at 2 last month. But he's top 3 now. He'll probably finish 2 in voting if I had to guess. Who's next, Marco?
Yeah, you can go ahead, Marco.
Keep it short and sweet because Leon gave the long answer. But I feel like he has a solid chance of getting it. I think everybody in that top 3 has it'd be a close race. Let's put it like that. I think I do agree with what Leon said. He should have been 2 last month, like at spot 2 last month, just because he was having a very decent. He's having a very decent month, and when he really started getting hot, they kept him at 6 for like a good minute, and it really just took that most recent game to really get him up there. And it's like we said last episode, he really just needed a couple 20-point games to really make something shake, and he's doing exactly.
And he had two.
Yeah, and he's doing exactly what we wanted him to do. So I think like I said, I think the race will be close. I think these last 16 games will really play out to see who gets it. Jalen Wells has been playing good all season. Like he's been very consistent some majority of the season. So, like I said, it'd be a close race. But he does have a solid chance of winning, in my opinion.
I mean, there's enough games left that Zach can kind of steal the narrative if he has a big push. I think Jalen being out leaves shots to be taken. If Zach is aggressive, I don't know if the minutes will be there for him to win it. It is like largely a minute thing when it comes to rookies because most of them aren't that efficient anyway. So it's like who's on the floor, gonna get some counting stats. I do think Castle had some big moments that have him in the national eye a bit. That factors into it. I think Zach he's played well enough of late, especially to put himself in that conversation. I don't know if he's the rookie of the year right now. I know Jalen Wells has kind of been up there 1-2 for most of the year. And Castle has kind of been in that, and Edie has been right there. But Zach hasn't been like far off. And I think if he has a strong stretch these last month and a half, he's gonna put himself in the conversation. I think if Zach has a couple more 20-point games, maybe another big outburst, yeah, he'll be right there. It's just gonna be tough. You probably need one of those guys to have a bad month to really kind of catch up. I think Zach had 2 pretty bad months in terms of field goal percentage. The defense was there all year, but he kind of needs those other guys to be to stumble a bit down the stretch so that he has the edge for solid stretch. But he's played well. I don't think rookie of the year really matters. I think for Zach, he's 19, 6'10". His best years will be later on in general. As he grows into his body, he should be a lot better. So you might lose out on rookie of the year, but he's probably the first one of those guys to have a shot at All-Star if that's in the future.
I don't. I get you said rookie of the year doesn't matter, Chris, but I feel rookie of the year matters for ranking purposes for this fan base. Because when was the last time the Hawks have had a rookie of the year? Did they ever have a rookie of the year? Or or no? Because I probably gotta look that up. Or
To my knowledge, I don't think we've had
Have
one.
the
No.
Hawks had a rookie of the year?
yeah,
I'm about to
No,
look
I
it up
don't
right
think
now.
because honestly, I just feel like just having a rookie of the year would just be a cool thing. But to just go back into the topic, I feel that because of just I think one of the under discussed things as well is that rookie of the year is also just a minutes competition as well. And one of the main things is that Risa Shea compared to I think Jalen Wells or Stefan Castle, Stefan Castle is that they're playing more minutes on on their teams compared to Risa Shea, especially because Quinn generally sometimes just likes to just pull Risa Shea out for just because either he just doesn't feel like he just doesn't feel like fit in the game right now, or just for like his safety and stuff. And I get that, even though like I complain about it a lot on the podcast. But I feel like because of those things and the fact that I think, like you said, Chris, he did not have that like really good start and was able to get people attention early on. Um, I don't know if he's gonna be able to get rookie of the year unless um he manages to somehow just get like one or two more big games, like maybe another 30 or 40 point game because I know he still leads the entire rookie class to 30-point games. Like he has to get like one more signature big moment in order to get rookie of the year at this point. And but there's 17 games and that's not really a lot of time left. So we'll have to just wait and see until that happens.
The
But
Hawks haven't had a rookie of the year, by the way.
yeah. Oh yeah. I figured. I just think it would just be really cool to have one, honestly, even though it really doesn't matter in the end.
I mean, he'll be first team all rookie as long as he's top
Yeah,
5.
he's gonna be first team all rookie, so yeah. But hopefully, I am hoping that he wins it. But I think that may just be Stefan Castle with the way the Spurs are using him right now. But we'll see. We'll see what Zach has in his hand for these next coming games. And speaking of next coming games, I know Chris talked to me offline about how he doesn't know like what these next few games are because I haven't mentioned it on the podcast. So I'm like, okay, you know what? We're gonna talk about all 16 games coming up because we're gonna talk about whether or not the Hawks are gonna be below 500, at 500, or above 500.
This episode?
Yes, right now. So this is how we're gonna do
Wait,
this.
all 16 games?
We're not okay. I phrased it wrong. Okay. So I'm just going to.
He's
So
gonna
I'm
list
gonna.
them. He's gonna list
I'm,
them.
I'm just yeah. I'm just gonna list them.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is this. I'm just gonna give a little context. So after the trade deadline, we have been 9-5. We currently lead in the Southeast Division. We have 9 away games and 7 home games. So that's 16
Did
games
you
left in
say
the season.
9-5?
Yes, 9-5. I'm
Yikes!
Yeah,
Wow.
9-5. So, and I looked on Takeathon. Our strength of schedule is 29th in the league. So, in order to be 41-41, they have to go 9-7. So, at home, we play for the 7 home games at home. We play the Clippers, Warriors, 76ers, Portland, New York, and Orlando. For the away games, we play Brooklyn, Charlotte, Houston, Miami, Milwaukee, Mavericks, Orlando, Brooklyn, and the 76ers.
All right, can you run through that again for the fans at home that weren't listening?
Yeah, my bad. Because I went through that really fast. We play at home the Clippers, the Warriors, the 76ers, New York, Utah, and Orlando. For the 9 away games, we play Brooklyn, Charlotte, Houston, Miami, Milwaukee, the Mavericks, Orlando, Brooklyn, and the 76ers. So, as I mentioned, we are 29th in strength of schedule from Takeathon. We mentioned earlier, or we talked about earlier on the podcast, that we did not think that this team would be above 500. But since the trade deadline, they went 9-5. So with all that information that I just told you, spewed out, etc., I've given everyone here a chance. I'm gonna give y'all 3 options. Do y'all think we will still be below 500? Will we be at 500 or above 500? So give yourself a second to think about it, and then just tell me what y'all think. Anyone could just go when
I
they're
won't
ready.
waste any time.
Okay.
Basically, to be over 500, we have to win 10 of these games
Yep.
or more. I think we can win 10 of these games. I think we're going to win 10 of these games, and I have folded. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Hawks are going to be over 500 at the end of the season.
When you ran through that, I came up with 9 wins on my hand, and that was like me just going off first thought and games I was very confident in without having to second guess. So I mean, they have a chance to get really close. 9, I think, should be guaranteed. Like, if we playing spades, I got a 9, right? Possible
Yep.
10. So we'll see. They'll be right there.
So do you think they're
okay.
just gonna be at 500, Chris?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I predicted 41 wins at some point.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Or somewhere around that. So I do think they'll end up around there.
Okay. Got you.
I got over 500 because those are some pretty winnable games. Even though those teams sound tough, those we got some pretty winnable games. So over 500.
Yeah, I've mentioned this to y'all earlier offline. I think we're gonna be above 500 too, because they have been the Hawks, I think, have been pretty good this year with beating bad teams. I think that's I would say mostly good at being bad teams for the most part. And I think that is a pretty underappreciated fact. And the fact that we are playing mostly teams that are under 500, and we're also playing a bunch of teams that are in our division, and we have been really good in our division so far this year. I think that's going to really help us a lot during this stretch. Let me just go through this real quick. That's 1, 2, 3. So if we just manage to beat like a few of these games in our division right now, that's like 3 or 4 wins easily. So I think it is easily, I won't say easily, but I think it's possible. They only have to go 9-7 right now to be at 500. And like I mentioned earlier, ever since the trade deadline, we went 9-5. So I think it's possible. And I don't think anyone even predicted this ever since Jalen went out. So I think this is a big turn of events for the Hawks team. So
Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see.
yeah, I think for next time we're probably gonna talk about who we would rather face in the play-in, because I think that is gonna be an interesting question with considering that we have some like interesting roster deficiencies.
I'm not scared of none of them boys in a one-off. None of them. I ain't scared of none of them in a one-off. You hear me?
Oh,
not one.
But with that, with me going through like literally the entirety of the schedule, I think that maybe that's going to be the end of this episode. So, does anyone have any final thoughts before we end this episode?
Ah.
Dang.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah, go
no
Hawks.
Hawks win any awards. Let them sleep. Next year we coming for everybody.
Yep.
Everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely.
And happy St. Patrick's Day, since we aren't gonna be, since by the time we're done with this episode, it's gonna be St. Patrick's Day. So happy early St. Patrick's Day.
All right, buddy.
Yeah.
Why you guys?
All right, buddy.
Why? What's it's?
You're right, man. You're right. You're right.
It's a okay. Whatever. All right. I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, make sure you wear your green,
Oh.
guys.
All right. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
Have a good one.
Make sure you wear your green.